Okay, so that's all discussion about lines with arrows. The third part is called the labels. Each block of the block diagram must be labeled. So what the meanings of label? Say label. Label. Say labels. What the meaning of a label? What the meaning of a label in electronics drawing? What the meanings of a label in electronics drawing? Well, can define it in different ways, but here it's a meaning. So we say that in electronics drawing, electronics drawings, a label is a text. Is a text or identifier. Is the text or identifier used to provide important information. Important information. Important information. Specific subsystem. About specific subsystem. Not specific subsystem or specific components or specific parts of electronic system. System. So in electronics drawings, a label is a text or identifier used to provide important information. Provide important information about what is specific subsystem, about what is specific components, specific parts of electronic system. 1, 2, 3. Read the definition of label. Stop writing. 1, 2, 3. Read the definition of label. Repeat. Yeah? Noise, just is noise. Stop. You're just making noise. Please, speak meaningful. 1, 2, 3, go.
Or identify usually to provide important information about specific subsystem components, parts of electronic systems.
So, number of students who say system, they are writing systems. Stop writing, I say. So, in electronics, when you talk about a label of a block, this is the text or identifier used to provide important information about specific subsystem. Remember that a specific subsystem will be represented by using a block or about specific components of the system. When you talk about specific components, we don't mean about specific electronics components or about specific parts of the electronic system. So a label provides important information. Say, provide important information.
Provide important information.
Provide important what? What kind of this important information? It may be the function of that block diagram. Or it may be the name of that block. Sorry. It may be the function of that block or the name of that block. So in case you have a block diagrams that has maybe 5 blocks, when the label is actual, label has been actual that written on each block. Then once you read those labels, you'll get some information in your mind that this block representing something, this block is representing something, or what the function of this block. Okay, according to its label, I think the function of this block will provide power. And what the function of this block? According to its name, because its label is a sensing unit, is input unit. So it can be a sensor or it can be any other source of inputs. Then what the function of this label? Because it's what the function of this block? Because its label is control unit, so we expect that this block actually will be controlling the input peripherals and output peripherals. Are we together? Are we together? So he said that labels, so labels on the so labels on the blocks of the block diagram. Labels on the block of the block diagram are essential to provide for clarifying what? Clarifying the function, or clarifying the identity, or clarifying the characteristics. Characteristics of 40 of blocks, functions, characteristics of who? Of the subsystem. So this is another important sentence also. Say labels
Labels.
So labels on electronics are on the blocks of block diagrams are essential for clarifying the function of that block or for identity, that it can help you to identify or to know the characteristics of that subsystem. Okay? So again, another point to note is that each block has its its label. So each block has its label that describes its function. That describes its function. So each block has a label that describes its function. So each block has a label that describes its function or specifies its type, or specifies its type. Specify its type. So you say that each block has a label. Say each block has a label. And the function of this label is to describe its function or specifies its type. What the type of that block. Are we together? Yes. Then let me give you some examples of labels. Examples of labels. Labels of the block. Of the blocks of the blocks of the block diagram. So you can find that separating. The first example, you can find one of the label of the block is called the input unit. Say input unit.
Input unit.
Say input unit.
Input unit.
Say input unit.
Input unit.
So, what the means of that label? Say input unit.
Input unit.
What information do you get from that label? Huh? Source of information. Angelica? Huh? Source of energy. Then, madam here, what's your name? Catherine. Catherine, tell us. Today is Karen. I don't know, somebody called it Karen. She's not present also. She's tall. Is she your friend? So where is she? She's somewhere there. Tell us, Catherine. Source of what? Source of mangoes or source of orange? The source of power. That's the information you get. Brother there, what's your name? Joshua. So Joshua, tell us, when you hear a label called input unit, what information do you get in your mind?
Same as that girl.
Huh?
Same as that.
The same as that girl. Repeat what that girl has said.
Say like input.
Huh?
Input.
She did not say anything about input.
Said about the source of power.
Source of power. Brother, what's your name? Engineer? Elia. So Elisha. Joshua, Daniel. This is the wonderful class. And if we could have Elisha, Elia, Joshua, Daniel of the Bible, this is the wonderful class. And then we had somebody called the Meshach, I don't know, Meshach or Shadrach. So we have a number of people, which actually we call them biblical heroes. But they might be Tanzanian politicians, heroes. Tell us, Mr. Elia, what information do you get from that label? Pardon? Naomi? A? Source of who? Mangoes. Or source of tea? Source of power. Malikia? Wrong. Brother here, what's your name? Kennedy. Source of who? Or power. Mr. CST here? Input device. Brother here? Source which receives something. Nehemiah? Source of information signal. Brother, what's your name? Derek. Speak loudly. Brother, what's your name? The second one? Eliud. Source of information or signal. Whenever you hear inputting, okay, you've tried, some of you have tried, and some of you have been lost it completely. So listen. Whenever you hear input unit, say again input unit.
Input unit.
Say input unit.
Input unit.
This is the unity which actual will be supplying the input into the system. For instance, what is your input sensor organ?
Hands.
What are the input sensor organ in your body?
Hands.
Eyes. What the function of the eye?
For seeing.
So the function of the eye to take a signal from outside and send it to the brain.
For interpretation.
Right?
Yes.
Another input sensor organ? Ear. What the main function of the ear?
To collect
To hear. To hear what? Sound or voice?
sound waves.
Sound or voice, right? And then where does that sound or voice come from? Does it come from inside or does it come from outside?
From surrounding.
And hence after the outer ear received that information, does it send the outside of the ear or does it send inside the ear towards the brain?
To the eardrums.
Yes, so that's the information that you have to think. Similarly, when you talk about input, you the same meaning. This is the block that taking input external, from external side of the system into the system. And actually this one will be providing either analog or digital signal. Input unit does not deal with anything about power.
Yes.
You told me that you understand, but I realized that you get confused. The second example of the simple label that we'll be discussing is this one. You can have a label that's called the power supply unit. Say power supply unit. Say power supply unit. What information do you get when you hear the label power supply? Because I want you to understand and own this information and even be expert in drawings of block diagrams, schematic diagrams, and even PCB layout. But that wants to say it's easy. But if you don't work hard, you'll be keep on saying. One day, tell your neighbor, one day. You always have one, and that day doesn't have a date, month, and year. You just one. So when you get into tomorrow, you say one. The day after tomorrow, you are still saying what? One. So we call that you are a expert futuristic. So what information do you get from that label? Mister, what's your name? Mr. Stars. Sware. So you have Sware and then you Sare. And that? Sware. Okay, Mr. Sware, tell us. Speak loudly. Elijah the prophet there, I want to hear you. Elijah, do you hear him? Sware? No. The signal has failed. Madam, what's your name? Huh? Huh? Nurat. Nurat, tell us. Madam Nurat. Huh? What information do you get there? Just speak loudly. Everybody is trying. Whenever you want to be good in something, you should not feel fear or just feel unhappy when you fail. So it's a unity where power is distributed. Towards where? Does it receive power or does it distribute power? Does it give or does it receive? Huh? It receive and then distribute. Brother here, it supply power to the system. Malaika? It distributes power from where? Then Musa, not Musa. Abrahman. To where? Okay, so clap your hand for those students who have tried. You know that in Tanzania we have a very interesting song. Do you know that song? Iyo, yo yo yo, iyo. Mwenye wivu ajinyonge sana. Because I told you to congratulate those who have tried. Then kacha. So it means that you are jealous. Mwenye wivu ajinyonge sana. Okay, those who have been tried, sing to those who have to congratulate you. Mwenye wivu ajinyonge sana. Iyo. Iyo. Go and find that song. Okay, well, so this label provides us information about the source of power, or it's a block or subsystem that supply power. Supply what? Power. So it may be receiving another form of power, but it processes that power until it has the desired output, and that output will be distributed into different parts. And a good example of power supply unity is your mobile charger. Not your mobile phone. Your mobile phone is the power supply unit. Battery. Yes, battery is the source of power. Okay, another example is called the output unit. Say output unit. So what information do you get from that block or from that label? Brother, tell us. When you hear the, just you see the block has been called the output unit. It's an application. Speak loudly. Where that microphone? We want to hear them. Danny has it. Oh yeah. Is it on?
It provides analog and digital.
Pardon?
It provides analog and digital.
It provides analog and digital where? To where?
From the.
From what?
From the side.
Found me? What information do you get from there?
Receive, process the signals
And put out. Angelica? Processing information. Process the information. And you? Promotion. It gives promotion. Promotion of what? Of job.
Hello.
We are waiting you. It gives information. Okay, this is simple for you to understand. You have organs. Your body consists of a number of organs. Tell us the organs which you consider them are the output. Heart.
Mouth. Mouth.
Hands.
Mouth.
So hands are the output. Okay, another organ? Kidney? Skin. So skin provide which kind of the output? Sweating. So how does the skin provide sweating? How does the skin provide sweating? So it means that the excretory system process or actual filtrate the amounts of the water you have taken, and the excess amounts will be given out through your skin. So it means that the skin will be actually trying to regulate your body temperature by giving out the sweats. Okay? Yes. So it means the skin is taking something from in towards out. Are we together? Yeah. So when you talk about output unity, this is a block that actually giving you the output that you want, you expected. The good example, display. Say display. Display is an output part. Yeah. Another example is LED, light emitting diode. Say light emitting diode. Another example of output unity is a buzzer. Say buzzer. The one used to give you an alert during the alarm. When you set an alarm, you hear that. That is called a buzzer. Another one is called the vibrator. Say vibrator. Another output unit is speaker. So the main function of the speaker is to receive the information and broadcast outside of it. Are we together? Yes. Yeah. So this output unit does not have any relationship with processing or controlling. It receives and provides. But the main function is just to provide what has been given. Number 4, you didn't mention another important organ that provides the output from the human body. I think you reserve them for future use. Every living organism, every human being, kingdom and Maria, is subject to those parts. When you go to the toilet, you know what happens, is it? You don't need somebody to encourage you to go to the toilet. That's one of the good, wonderful things. You go yourself, and then you give out what is the waste product, right? Hey. So when you be learning electronics in that image, I want to tell you that you will enjoy and you realize that electronics is not difficult. But if you just see learning electronics the way it is, you don't think outside the box, you don't relate with some simple systems that you are familiar with them, you'll be just reading, understanding, forgetting. Reading, understanding, forgetting. Reading, understanding, forgetting. Reading, understanding, forgetting until you graduate your studies. You'll have a certificate, but in your brain you have nothing. Number 4. Number 4 is called the control unit. Say control unit. Control. Say control unit. Control unit. So control unit. Control unit. So, Mr. What's your name? Justice. Justice. So when you hear a label that's called control unit, what information do you get? Today I want to engage you in that class. Where is my microphone? So what's your name?
I'm Justice.
Justice. Then, if when you hear the label that's called the control unit,
it is all about the processor.
It's all about processing.
Processor, yes. The
processor.
Yeah.
What does it control?
All the information which all the information initiated in the input unit are processed in the control unit so as to get the output unit.
So where does the control unit get the information to process?
From input unit.
From input unit?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
And then after it processed, where does it send?
To the output unit.
From output to
storage.
To the output unit. Storage again?
I mean from output to storage.
You say the control units will be processing the information.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
After processing, then it will send where? Where does it send?
To the output.
To
the output.
To the output.
Yeah.
Okay, clap your hand for him. So from our human body, tell us one organ which is acting as a control unit. Brain. Yes. Another one? Heart. Which one do you like between the two? Are you sure? Not the brain. Why you don't like brain? Because you are very intelligent, eh? Pardon? Brains work very hard.
Yes.
And
the brain control.
Okay. So another label, another example of label is called the sensor unit. Say sensor unit.
Sensor.
What information do you get when you hear a label called the sensor unit? Studio. Sensor unit. What do you hear? What do you think? Even if you don't know anything about sensors and electronics, but you hear sensor unit. What information do you get in your mind as a serious student? Pardon? Speak loudly, please.
Sensor unit, a device which detects something.
A device that is?
Detects something.
Detects something. Yeah, that is true. So sensor, simply you can say that it's an electronics device that detects a physical phenomenon. Our bodies have so many sensors. If you just want to know the sensor, please just impose a simple act to your neighbor. Okay, so just check your neighbor's sensors if you are working. So impose a simple input to your neighbor. Please, do so. Quickly. I said impose the simple signal to your neighbor. So what happens to your neighbor? Your neighbor sensed it, and take action. Defending himself. So one of your sensory organ is skin. Hey, listen, is what? Skin. So that's your neighbor is. Jirani yako anakupiga picha, akwambia wewe ngoja, si tuko mbele ya watu.
Tutakutana.
So, what did the skin do? What does the skin do? Detect. How does it detect? Did it test? How did the skin detect it? Feeling. How? Two nerves. Through nerves. No, I didn't say that which organ has been used. Or which tissue. The organ is the skin. Yes, I'm not talking about nerves. I'm not talking about something else. I'm talking about how did it know that somebody is impacting. Did it test it? Did it hear?
No.
Through feeling, right? So similarly, whenever you hear about sensor unity, this is an input unit. This is an input unit. This is an input. So your skin, it's your input unit. Okay. Yes. So when you talk about input units, this is general. We have 100 examples of the subsystem which can be used as the input unit of the system. So this is too general. Then the other one, what's going on there? Agape. Agape and who? And Pendo. Agape and Joshua. Say transmitter unit.
Transmitter unit.
Say transmitter unit.
Transmitter unit.
So what information do you get from transmitter unit? What information do you get from transceiver from transmitter unit? Please tell us. Please tell us, please. Tell us, please.
We don't know. Transceiver. What is this?
So when you talk about the units, okay, say transmitter unit.
Transmitter unit.
So this is the unit which actually be transmitting information. Then you have receiver unit. Say receiver unit.
Receiver unit.
This is the unit which actually be receiving the information. Receiving. For instance, now I'm teaching you, I'm transmitting information to you, and you are acting as a receiver. So if transmitter and receiver establish communication, then we say that the communications has been successful. If the transmitter is sending information and receiver is busy, no communication. If transmitter is not sending information and receiver is there to read the information, no communication. Then you have transceiver unit. Say transceiver unit. Say transceiver unit. So this is the unity which is actual can transmit and receive information. For instance, yourself, you are a transceiver. You can transmit information and receive information. For instance, when I'm talking, I'm transmitting information towards you. But when I have to receive from you, where you will act as a transmitter, then I have to listen. So my mouth will act as a transmitter, right? Yeah. All the transmitters, some of them they are broadcasting, some of them they are sending. So it's just the image of the human being. And then receiver is all about listening. Say listening.
Listening.
If you are sending an email to your friends or WhatsApp message to your friend, then your friend's device will be listening the message from you. If the communication has been established, then you get the feedback, the message has been received. If there is no communication, then you get a feedback, the message is failing. So when you talk about transceiver, we are the human beings, we are transceiver. I can transmit the voice signal by using my mouth. I can receive it by using my ear. Are we together? Yes. So the big picture of transceiver is the human being. So the innovators or the inventors of transceiver or transmitter, the inventors are innovators, and even the designers of all of these subsystems that I've mentioned, they had an image of human body. Different parts of the human. And you know that the human beings have been created by God. So that the imitation, that the image, let us make something can work like this organ of the human being. Are we together? Say amplifier unit.
Amplifier
Say
unit.
amplifier unit.
Amplifier unit.
So these amplifiers, we are using them in case of the, we call it the public address, or in case of the loudspeakers. You like so much amplifiers as the teenagers because you like music and you like the wonderful music, right? The good quality music. T, 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 T. Kochu, kochu. Kochu, kochu. Kochu, 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 kochu. You don't understand anything, but you're enjoying. T, 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 T. Kochu, kochu. Kochu, kochu. Then we have switching unit. Say switching unit.
Switching unit.
Say switching unit.
Switching unit.
Say switching unit.
Switching
And show your neighbor your switching unit. Show your neighbor your switching unit. It means you have a switching unit. One of them. Sure. This is my switching unit. Show your neighbor.
Switching unit.
So your eye is the switching unit. Yeah, because an eye can provide some communication, right? You get some information, isn't it? So when you talk about switching unit, say switching unit. Say switching unit. These are electromechanical switches. These are the switches which close and open, but not mechanically, by using electric signal. For instance, if you have a door or a window, usually you have to close or open mechanically. But so it means that a door, when you open the door and close the door, it can act as a switch. When you open a window and close a window, it can act as a switch. But you have to open it mechanically. When you talk about electromechanical switches that we are going to use in switching units, they can open and close automatically by using electric signal. So the electric signal, the one will be controlling opening and the closing. You should not open by using your hands and close by using your hand. No, it's electric signal which will be sent to switch the switch into in on state and also in off state. And your mobile phone consists of billions numbers of electromechanical switches. You know that my teaching sometimes can provide healing. We have one student who has been sick. Then she attended my class and now she's fine. She's doing well. So she has been healed in the class. Now, as a Tanzanians, you have always say no. Because you are always negative, always jealous. And you are always in competition. Then say rectifier unit. So this is the units that actually will be rectifying electric power. Then you have display unit. Say display unit. So this is the unit which actually will give us visualizations of some information. Okay, class?
Yes.
Question about the labels? I ask it. Pardon? The input unit and depends to the system. Sometimes in terms of the system, receiver unit will act as the input. For instance, in your mobile phone, if somebody calls you, so your mobile phone will be acting, the receiver will be acting as the input. Because that signal will be received by antenna. And the antenna is the input. And it's the receiving antenna, it's a part of the receiver unit. So it depends on the system. Did you hear Rhoda's question? Yes. Did you understand it?
Yes.
A microphone is an input unit. Abraman, this microphone is inputting the voice signal into the video camera. And the one I wear, this is called the transmitter, and that's called the receiver. This is transmitter, we call it audio transmitter, and that is audio receiver. This is not the audio transceiver, and that's not the audio transceiver. Why? Because this one, it can only transmit information. It cannot receive. That one, it can only receive information. It cannot send. You say you are a telecommunication student. What are you learning in telecommunication? You are just enjoying what? Dining food, yeah? Ugali and marage?
Yes.
Ask your question.
Tanzania time.
Eh?
Tanzania.
Okay, you are enjoying ugali and the beans. And then you go back to sleep. Okay, be careful. If you keep on enjoying ugali and beans, you'll graduate with nothing in your brain. That's the fundamental of telecom. Okay, maybe in second semester we'll have some modules that will teach about telecom. But why are you waiting until you have a module? While you have the internet? Why are you waiting until you have a module? What if the modules won't be taught well? Will you have an excuse to say that I don't know telecommunication because I haven't been taught in class? No. You are studying for your own life. Okay? Then the first part and last part is called the figure, number, and what? Name. After that, you will be able to draw a good quality block diagram. So figure, number, and name of 40 of block diagram. Are we together? Yeah. Are we together?
Yeah.
Are we together or we are not together? Are you sure?
We are together.
Josh. Okay, say figure, number, and name of the block diagram. Okay, so let us wind our lecture 2 by just covering that concept. Then we recall the day. We'll meet for the lecture 3. Then we have a question which is very important. What is the meaning? What the meaning of the name of the block diagram? I asked you to invite your friend from CST, but you don't do so. Just a few of you have done it. Pardon? Mwenye wivu ajinyonge. So you have jealous to CST first year. You just want to cover this material yourself, and then you'll be a consultant. They will consult you. And you'll tell them, why did you study CST? You could have come and study AK. That's the challenge of studying CST. Yeah, CST is shallow. So what the meanings of the name of block diagram in electronics drawing? What does it mean? The name of block diagrams. What does it mean? So in electronics drawing, you may tell me that we are telling them, but they don't want to come. No. Why should you tell them once? Tell them several times. That's why I used to sing a very interesting song. Mwenye wivu ajinyonge sana. Naye te wajinyonge sana. So we've been talking about chip blocks, we've been talking about arrows, we've been talking about labels. Now we are talking about the entire block diagram. So stop writing. Stop writing. Then we say that in electronics drawing, the name of entire block diagram is a overall title or label. Say overall title or label. Given to the entire block diagram. So when you talk about label, now you know what the meaning of label. But we don't mean that label. It just it's a title or label. But we don't. This label, it doesn't mean that we are going to label within the blocks. No. Given to the entire block diagram. So actually, this is the name given to the entire block diagram, which describes the function or purpose of the entire system. In most cases, the name itself gives you some information. So the name of the block diagram gives you some information about the entire block diagram. What does that block diagram represent? Okay? Okay? That the means of what describe function or purpose of entire system. Or describe, I said stop writing. Pendo. Describes what function or purpose of what of the circuit being represented. Then another important sentence. The name of the block diagram provides the high level overview of the system. It gives you the high level overview. It does not give you details, but to give you a picture. That means of 40 high level. I gave you an example of high level. The first day when I met you, I introduced myself, you introduced yourself to me. But by that time, I didn't know you yet, rather than now. Because now we have been staying for the number of weeks. We've been meeting with you in different situations. And even yourself, when I introduce myself before you, you just have a high level of understanding of Olenjolai. Okay? But as time goes, you get too much detail. So it means that the first lecture and second lecture and third lecture when I've been teaching, I was giving you the high level. You have just learning from me, but in terms of high level overview. Are we together? So in case you want to know the high level overview of the system, you may read and think about its name, the name of the block diagram. Then, this is another important sentence. Each block diagram is assigned the figure number and the name. And this figure number, it depends. Even if it's one diagram or one block diagrams, you'll give a figure or you call it figure 1. If you have 2 blocks, you can call them figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4. Sometimes you can call them figure 1.1, figure 1.2, figure 1.3. It depends to the context. But the block diagrams must be assigned a figure, number, and its name. If you are drawing a block diagram without the figure number and without the name, that's meaningless. Are we together? So 1, 2, 3, we are going to read the definition of 40, name of the block diagram. 1, 2, 3, read. Very good. Example. And this is another thing that you have to note. The figure number and the name of the block diagram. Must be written below the block diagram. So you write the figure number and name of the block below the block diagram, not on top of the block diagram. Those are the rule, IEEE rule. Say IEEE rule. So IEEE, these are the abbreviations of Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. So examples of figure number and name is this one. Stop writing. We can write that figure 1. Then we say that the general block diagram of linear power supply. And as an example, you can find that we write figure 2, the block diagram of audio amplifier, etc., etc., etc. So this is the format. Stop writing. Example 1 is what? Figure 1, the general block diagrams of linear power supply. You say? Joshua, say it to yourself. He wasn't there. Okay, say it to yourself. He wasn't there. The general block diagram. No. Read for Joshua. Figure 2. So, what information do we get from this name of the block diagram? This the block diagram which hello Abdurrahman, this the block diagram which actually presenting the information about linear power supply. So when you know the architecture of linear power supply, well, or if you don't know, it means that the message you get, all of these blocks and arrows, lines with arrows, represent linearity power supply. When you come for the second example, figure 2, the block diagrams of audio amplifier. Say, the block diagrams of audio amplifier. So the information you have to extract it from this name is actually this block diagram representing audio amplifier. Representing audio amplifier. So what do you think if you draw the block diagram and then you don't write its name or its number? You just use blocks and then you label them, that's all. You will not understand the entire purpose or function of the entire block diagram. Are we together? Class, are we together? Yes. Are we together? Yes. So are you ready now for an assignment of what I taught you? Go and find 10 examples of electronics and telecommunication block diagrams. 10. You may make a decision even to find one, because you have a score of 1. And you should not only draw, you have to understand them. How are they working? Otherwise, you'll go to the Google, go to the image, you'll copy and paste. That is, I copied and paste for the sake of the marks, not for the sake of understanding. Students, is it clear? Is the concept clear? A question about the 3 parts of the block diagram. If there's a question, please ask. You are busy writing. If you have a question, please ask. Well, if there's no any question, I will say that this is the end of lecture 2 of block diagram. I would like to thank God who have given me a chance to teach you this concept. And then I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate you and say thank you for coming and thank you for attending this lecture. I would like to invite you in the next lecture where we are going to discuss about types of block diagram. And then the other lecture will be discussing about some examples, or let's say I will find maybe not more than 10. There will be, I'll try to find more than 5 block diagrams, but they will not exceed 10 in order actually to expose you into the real applications of what we have been discussing. So I would like to encourage you to make sure that you watch this video several times and listen the contents, create some questions or develop some questions to ask and challenge some key concepts, and try your level best to revise, because this information is very important. And these are just still simple stuff. You have to understand them, keep your mind, and then keep focus to some advanced concept. So I would like to thank you if you have understood. In case you have any other question, you may ask it. But if there's no questions, I would like to say thank you, and let us meet in lecture 3. Let me appreciate the physical students and even online students who are saying or who are declaring that they have understood what I've taught them. So it's time now to congratulate you. It's time to congratulate you. Remember that your neighbor is Ananini? Ananini? So you have to find a rope and give him or her. Yani mpe kamba ili afanyaje? Ajinyonge. Mwenye wivu ajinyonge sana. Thank you. May God bless you.